Top Cardinals prospect Jordan Walker is annihilating the ball this spring, and the question isn't so much if Jordan Walker will make this team anymore, but whose spot is he taking on the opening day roster when he does? Plus, we got another setback for Jack Flaherty. All on today's episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio, or follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals, or you can follow both if you want to. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment so you can interact with us. Hit that notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. It's really too bad that the last couple of Cardinals spring training games have not been televised because fans are missing out on quite a show that's being put on by the Cardinals' two top prospects, Jordan Walker and Masyn Winn. Both of them came into camp with a lot of fanfare. Walker is ranked number 4 overall in Major League Baseball by MLB Pipeline, and Masyn Winn is number 50. They're ranked 1 and 2 in the Cardinals organization, and coming into camp, most people, myself included, thought that Walker had an outside chance to make the opening day roster, while Winn is more than likely destined for AAA Memphis after spending last year in A-ball in Peoria and then AA in Springfield. Now, it would take a special spring training by Walker. That's what people said, right? It's going to take a special spring training for Walker to solidify a spot on the roster because, as I've said before, it's going to make it, if he's going to make this team, he's play every day. Right? You don't have him on the roster to be a backup. He's not a bench guy. You know, you're not going to go sit him down there and give him like one at bat a couple of times a week. Like, that's not what you're going to do. If he stays, he plays. But again, it needs to be a special spring training for Jordan Walker to earn that spot. And all Jordan has done in the first 6 games of spring training is bat .500. He's gone 9 for 18. He's got 3 home runs, 3 doubles, 6 runs scored, and 6 RBIs. 6 batted in there. So to say that Walker is scorching hot is an understatement. I saw a quote on Twitter today that second baseman Nolan Gorman, who is also hitting quite well this spring, might I add, that it's like Walker is hitting beach balls. And I'm sure that's what it seems like to Walker, as just about everything that's coming in, he's sending it out. And he's hitting it hard. And he's hitting it far in some instances. On Friday, Walker was batting leadoff, and he singled to right his first time up, which opened up the floodgates as the Cardinals scored 4 in that first inning against Marlins starter Johnny Cueto. Then in the 4th inning, he rips one down the left field line for a double. The exit velo on that one was at 111.7, so just a missile down into left field. Then today, Ollie had him batting second. He's in the number 2 spot. He had Brendan Donovan leading off and Nolan Gorman batting third. And judging by his performance today, I think Jordan Walker felt quite comfortable in the box today. Because in Walker's first at-bat, he legs out an infield single on a ball hit to the shortstop, showing off those underrated wheels again. In his second at-bat, he's down 0-2 in the count and unloads on one, hitting it an estimated 460 to 470 feet away into left center field. His second home run of the spring. It cuts Washington's lead in half to 2-1. Just an absolute mammoth shot. A mammoth shot. They got a lot of oohs and ahs on the broadcast, and for good reason. And remember when people were saying that, he's got some power. He's not going to hit, those big shots, but, he's got line drive power. Whatever. He just hit one between 460 and 470. That's serious power. But he wasn't done yet. In the top of the 5th inning, he rips the first pitch he sees for a double and ends up scoring on Gorman's first home run of the spring. And then in his final at bat in the 7th with a runner on first, Walker hits another pitch over the wall in left field. This one, not quite the Titanic blast that the first one was, but just a line shot that goes over the wall. His fourth hit of the day, second home run, and it gave the Cardinals the lead for good as they went on to win this one 9-6. So Jordan Walker is doing everything in his power to prove to the Cardinals, to their staff, the front office, to the fans, that he legit belongs in St. Louis and not in Memphis on opening day. Now, I know some of you might be saying, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. It's only been 6 games. And I completely agree with you. But you can't help but get excited when you see what this kid is doing. And that's what he is. He's a kid. He's 20 years old. He doesn't look 20 years old, but he is. And he is just doing incredible things out on the field. Now, I also get that it's not like Walker's been facing top of the line pitching. He's also not facing like double A guys here. These are major league pitchers, but he hasn't gone up against somebody like a Max Scherzer or like a Clayton Kershaw. It just, what I mean, the established star starting pitchers in baseball right now. He's doing some damage against guys from the Marlins and not their stars. It's been Johnny Cueto and, guys from the Nationals who don't have a great pitching staff. It's not a good team, but they're still major league pitchers. So you have to give him credit for what he's done. And if he continues at this torrid pace, I don't know how you send him down. I don't know if you can. I don't know if the Cardinal fans will let you. Can you imagine if they were like, yeah, but we're still going to send him down? How upset people would be if that happened and Paul DeJong was still on the roster? Lose their minds. So the next question is, speaking about Paul DeJong, who loses their spot on this roster so that Walker can stay? Again, if he continues to hit the way he's hitting and there's no other choice but to keep him. Who's going to go down? We're going to tackle that question next. And I've also got a Jack Flaherty update for you, all coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Now, if you're looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and the calories, well, good for you, because it's good to eat healthy and be healthy. And, after maybe a tough 2022 holiday season, now we're into March and it's starting to get a bit sunnier outside. And you're thinking, oh boy, gotta shed some of this poundage. But yet at the same time, you don't want to sacrifice all the taste and all the treats that you've enjoyed. A Built Bar is the perfect way to get all the things that you need to be healthy, but at the same time, enjoy something that tastes good. Very, very tasty. They are very tasty, and they come in a ton of great flavors. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. They got flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, which is my favorite, coconut almond. I'm not a big coconut guy. If you like coconut, though, right up your alley. Built is able to maintain amazing macros, but still give you that sweetness that you're craving. We all have the cravings for something sweet from time to time. And this is a great way to get that fixed. But at the same time, you're only taking in 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, but you're getting a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't have to wait around to get a box from Built Bar, because you don't have to order them at Built.com anymore and wait. You can now head to your nearest Walmart, go to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up the 4-bar box of cookies and cream. They got double chocolate, coconut puffs. You can also go to Sam's Club. They've got the 13-bar box with flavors like brownie batter and churro. So if you are still interested in going to Built.com, you should, because they unleash all sorts of new flavors and products all the time. So you can still order there if you want to. But if it's easier to go to Walmart or Sam's Club, by all means, do that as well. But if you need more information about any of the products and things that are coming your way, go to Built.com for more information. Now, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but the way that Jordan Walker has looked, not only at the plate, but in the field, where he seems pretty darn comfortable as well. I haven't seen him, at least I haven't noticed that he's misplayed anything or looked weird out there where he's like lost, not Juan Yepes style, who sometimes looks like he doesn't know what the heck he's doing out there. But Jordan Walker has a real shot at being on this opening day roster. But if he is, that means someone who was projected to be in St. Louis on opening day isn't going to be there. And there are a lot of different guys whose jobs at the major league level could be in trouble. One thing that certainly has not been solidified is the bullpen. We don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to continue to be a work in progress throughout the spring. Probably won't get any answers until the very end of spring. They're going to keep sending these guys out there, and the ones who pitch good will pitch more. And the ones who don't, they won't be around anymore. The left-handed side of the pen is where I want to focus our attention to at this moment, because there's a lot of left-handers who are vying for spots, and you can't keep them all, but you may only want to keep two. It's a luxury to have three, but we don't know how many spots the bullpen's going to take up, do we? We think 8 is normal, but it could be one less, so that Jordan Walker could be on the team. But let's talk about it. Genesis Cabrera, you'd love to see him get back to his form in the first half of last year. Was doing fine this spring training until today. Saturday gets roughed up a little bit, allows a 2-run homer to the left-handed hitting Dominic Smith. Don't like to see that. Connor Thomas got the start again today. Connor Thomas is probably not going to be on this roster. He's probably going to be at Memphis. He's got an ERA of 7.20 after Saturday's start. He's allowed 4 runs on 10 hits and 5 innings of work. He has struck out 6, but clearly he's a work in progress. Packy Naughton threw a shutout inning today, but had a rough go against Washington in his previous appearance. Veteran signings, Anthony Masevich and Andrew Suarez, they both looked pretty solid. I know we made jokes about those signings when they happened, but they haven't looked too bad in their 2 outings. Each has thrown 2 shutout innings apiece. You've got Jojo Romero, who has struck out 2 and walked 2, but didn't allow any runs in his lone inning of work. Zach Thompson, love him. I think he's a lock. He's thrown 2 shutout innings, and so has Matthew Liberatore. Although I believe that they'd prefer to keep Liberatore as a starter, so he's likely destined for Memphis. It would be one of those first guys that gets called up if something were to happen to somebody in the rotation. Jack Flaherty. But maybe the team goes one less in the pen, like I mentioned, and keeps an extra bench bat on this roster to accommodate Walker being on the team. It could happen, but we don't know. We don't know what they're going to decide there yet. As far as position players go, you know that O'Neill, Carlson, Nootbaar, they're on the team. Unless something injury-related happens, you know those 3 are there. Juan Yepes' ability to play the corner outfield positions, although he doesn't look that great out there, he still can go out there and do it. He can also play first base, which is huge, as a backup to Goldie. That seems like that would keep him safe on the roster. Nolan Gorman having a solid spring. Hit his first home run today and went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He's now hitting .333, and he's looked really good at the plate. He's looked a lot better. He's your left-handed power bat for this lineup, and he can also play second base, third base, and, of course, DH. Paul DeYoung. I know you're laughing, but he's your only real shortstop behind Edman on this roster. Solid with the glove, always has been, and we all know about his struggles at the plate. But today, you catch that glimpse of something special when he shows off that power. He launched one off of the batting eye today. A monster shot, 430-something feet away. Just a tank shot. First stinger of the spring. He's been dealing with arm fatigue, so we haven't seen him in the field thus yet. But despite what fans think about him, Paul DeYoung is likely going to make this roster. I know you don't want to hear that, but he's probably going to be on this roster. He's getting paid a nice chunk of change, and the front office of the clubhouse love him. They think he's a great guy, and he probably is. I've never met him, but I've never heard him whine or complain about any of the struggles he's going through. He goes about, does his business, is doing the best he can. And who knows? Maybe he becomes one of those power bats off the bench that you can trust, and obviously gives you good defense up the middle. They're going to give him every opportunity to stay in St. Louis. So unless he just really goes down the pooper here in spring training, I think he's on this roster. Moises Gomez has shown off some decent outfield skills and is hitting .385, but we haven't seen the power yet. Still hasn't slugged a home run just yet. He's probably going to go to Memphis. That makes sense. Alec Burleson still hasn't shown much at the plate. Didn't in his cup of coffee with the team last year. Hasn't done so much here in the spring either. So at least in my eyes, I don't think he's on this roster. He's a left-handed bat, which works in his favor, but you do have a lot of left-handed hitters on this roster already. You've got the switch hitters in Carlson and Edman. You've got Nootbaar. You've got Gorman and Donovan. The team's got left-handed hitting. It's not like we're missing a left-hander. And don't forget about your catchers. Andrew Kisner will be the backup catcher. And that's pretty much your bench, you know? I tell you what's really a shame, and I mentioned him earlier, was Mason Wynn, who will not be on this roster because he's just been a ton of fun to watch so far in the spring. Hits one 435 feet the other day. He's been playing fantastic defense. He's hitting 500. He's stealing bases. But if he's not going to play every day, you can't keep him on this team. You're not going to put him on the bench. You're going to have him at Memphis where he can play every day. It's just the way it's going to be. On the infield, you've already got Arenado, Edman, Donovan, Goldie, DeYoung, and Gorman. Outfield, you've got O'Neill, Carlson, Nootbaar, Walker, and Yepes as your fifth, who's kind of that hybrid who can do both infield and outfield. So that gives you 11 players. Then your two catchers, which gives you 13. And then you've got 13 pitchers, 5 starters, 8 relievers. And there's your 26-man roster. Michaelis, Wainwright, Montgomery, Matz, and Flaherty, who we are going to talk about momentarily. Then in the pen, Helsley, Gallegos, Palante, Thompson, Hicks. They're all safe, I think. So it's kind of down to like Hudson, Stratton, Woodford, Verhagen, all the lefties that I mentioned earlier. They're all going to have to fill out the final spots in the bullpen. And it's too bad we're not like a T-ball team where you could have like 33 people on the roster. They all get to hit too. But it's just not that way. They can't all play, and some tough decisions are going to have to be made. And, who knows what happens with the guys who are coming back from the World Baseball Classic. You're hoping you don't have any injuries or any fatigue from that, but you don't know. Injuries could occur. So things will eventually work themselves out, but it's going to be interesting to see who stays and who goes. One guy we haven't seen in a game yet this spring is Jack Flaherty. And I'm going to tell you the latest on his setback next on Locked On Cardinals. FanDuel is something that if you haven't looked into yet, you should probably do this by now. I don't know what you're waiting for. We've got the midway point of the NBA season here. Perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Obviously, March Madness is coming up. You've got Major League Baseball going. New customers, you got something special for you. No sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you bet on everything from the money line to point scores to three-pointers made. You can do the same game parlay. That's what I like to get into. I like to make multiple bets, see if I can add them all up at the end of the day, and then churn a profit out. And FanDuel lets you do that. You combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with that same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Flaherty's 2023 Grapefruit League debut for the Cardinals was pushed back again just the other day, when he experienced a little discomfort in his lower half. We weren't told exactly what that was, but now we know what's happening. Flaherty's first spring outing was then slated for Sunday, which is tomorrow, but now that's been pushed back. He and Jordan Montgomery were actually scheduled to piggyback tomorrow against the Mets, but now Montgomery is the only one that is scheduled to get the start, and we don't know how Ollie's going to work the bullpen from there, but it will be Jordan Montgomery making his spring debut tomorrow. Flaherty is not dealing with anything in his arm, and that's the good news, but it's his calf that is reportedly giving him a problem, and he's also been dealing with some flu-like symptoms the past couple of days. So not great news, but not the worst news in the world. If it was shoulder or elbow related or like his back or something like that, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. But it's a calf, it's flu. Saturday, manager Ali Marmol had this to say about the situation. We're going to check to see how he's feeling. Trainers have been dealing with him because he's had flu-like symptoms and he's been achy. We're going to check to see that he's feeling good today. He threw a side bullpen session yesterday. If we think that it's not worth it, then we won't have him pitch. But if he's feeling good, then we'll stay on track. And it reminds me of the movie Naked Gun, when Frank Drebin is standing in front of the store that it's exploding. Like there's flames, there's fireworks going off, and he's saying, please disperse, nothing to see here. That's kind of what the Cardinals are doing here. They seem to continue to stress that it's just minor things. It's nothing major to worry about. And obviously, they're going to take it easy on Jack Flaherty because they need him and they want him to be the ace of this staff, or at least one of the top couple of pitchers on this pitching staff this year. So they're not going to overdo it with him in the spring. And if he's feeling something or anything whatsoever, if he sneezes wrong, they're going to hold him out. They're going to keep Jack Flaherty as safe as possible. But like I said, they continue to stress that it's a minor thing. But until Flaherty gets on that mound in a game, I don't think any of us are feeling all that confident about Jack Flaherty thus far in spring training. Hope he has a speedy recovery because he's going to be a big deal this year for this team. All right, thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Now for your second listen, why don't you go do me a favor? Check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league. That's what you're in it for. Our boys Matt and Dom are there every day to help bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. They do the video as well. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Once again, if you haven't followed us on Twitter yet, please do so at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Make sure you like, subscribe on the YouTube page as well as we try to hit our goal. We're looking for 5,000 subscribers by opening day. I believe we were almost at 4,500 today. It was close, but if you're new to the channel, hit like, hit subscribe, help us get the word out that Locked On Cardinals is here for Cardinal fans all across the nation and across the world. You're the best fans of baseball for a reason. I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.